Okay, we are recording. Good morning. My name is Jeff White, and I will be your trainer for today. Today, we are going to be doing the FlexMLS 201 class. Now, I assume most of the people on here took my 101 class last week, so we're going to be continuing from the information that we learned last week. So how this class is going to work is the first hour, we're going to focus on the portal. Then in the second hour, we're going to focus on contact management. And then in the third hour, we're going to be doing some customizations. So we're going to customize a view. We're going to customize a quick search template. And then if we have time, we'll focus on some custom hot sheets. So everyone is muted on this call. If you have any questions, just type them into the chat panel and I will be checking that frequently. So let's begin. Now, at the end of the FlexMLS 101 class, we were focusing on doing a search, setting up a subscription for a client. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that process again really quickly, and then we're going to talk about the portal and subscriptions and what is the difference. So let me just start a quick search. And so we'll just do something basic. We'll do, say we'll do 3 to 4 beds. Jacksonville. Let's do 2 to 3 baths. And let's try 250 to 350. Okay, so I have a nice simple search. We have 12 results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to save, and I'm going to save this search. Now, if you remember from the FlexMLS 101 class, we talked about the different tiers of support. Tier 1 was a manual email. You go to email these results, these 12 right here. Now, the problem with the manual email is you are doing all the work. And for this, if I email these 12 results and there's a new result tomorrow, that doesn't automatically go out. So that's that tier 1 of support. It's just very, very basic. Again, you are doing all the work. The tier 2 is a save search and subscription. So what that basically means is if you save the search, whenever there's a new listing, a price change, a status change, that's going to get fired off in a subscription to your client. So FlexMLS is doing all the work. Now, tier 3 is the portal. The portal is a website your client can log into, tell you what they like, what they don't like. Now, the difference between a subscription and a portal is a subscription is reactive. You set it up when there's a new listing or a price change, it gets fired off your client, which is fast. You know, new listings are about 10 minutes, price changes and status changes about 2 to 5 minutes, whereas a portal is proactive. Your client can log in at any time and then do searching on their own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save a search and subscription, go to save search, and I'm going to set up the portal at the same time. And then once we do that, we're actually going to look at what the different emails look like. And then we're going to go through the process of signing up for the portal and then see what the portal actually does. I find it's a lot easier to do them at the same time to save time, but also so you see the difference. A lot of people get confused on what's a portal versus what a subscription. They are two different things, but I do recommend using both of them. So let's do, find a Star Wars character I haven't used recently. Okay, I haven't done Gold Leader. So we're gonna do Gold Leader, and then we're gonna type in something about the search so it's easy for me to find. So 250 to 350K, and we'll say Jacksonville. And then contact, I always like to go to existing to see if this person is here. He is not. So I'm gonna do a new contact. I'm just going to type in a email address. We're actually going to pull up this email address, this email, so you can see what these look like. Now, this is where I'm picking up from class last week. I did not create a portal account for this prospect, I don't believe, but I'm going to walk you through this process. So we're going to create the portal account and invite the customer to the portal. So again, the portal is a website your client can log into, tell you what they like, what they don't like. It's interactive. Now, I want you to understand what the portal is and why it's important, especially right now with how the market is working. The market is really hot right now in a lot of places across the US. So the The two reasons I find that the portal is so important is number one, it is live, up-to-date information. I used to live in Florida and I was looking for rentals in Miami Beach, and they didn't have FlexMLS. They had a different product, and their portal solution at the time wasn't very good. So what I did is I downloaded Zillow to my phone and I started looking for properties. Then I would text my realtor the MLS numbers, and everything I saw on Zillow said active. But when I would send it to her, she'd come back to me and say, no, this is already rented. So we know in a hot market, Zillow is not up to date. It can be a couple hours behind or even a couple of days behind. So the nice thing about using the portal or subscription, it is live, up-to-date information. Again, new listings in about 10 minutes, price changes and status changes in about 2 to 5 minutes. So that's the number one reason. Also, the second reason it's important is you can track what they're looking at. What I mean by that is when they're doing searching, they're liking listings, they're hiding stuff, that data gets tracked inside of FlexMLS. So that's why we're doing the portal from the first hour. I'm going to show you what the portal is and what it looks like. We're going to generate data for you from the perspective of your client. So we're going to pretend to be Goal Leader for a bit. And then in the second hour, we're going to switch back to being the realtor Chewy, and we're going to take a look at what that data that's generated, what that does for you. Because the tier 3 of support, the portal, your client is doing all the work. Now, pay close attention to this explanation. I said that the subscription and the portal are two different things. That's important. But a lot of people get confused. They think that for the portal, you need to have a search and subscription. You do not. So in the second hour, we will talk about it a bit more. But one thing you can do is you can invite someone to the portal. Hold on one second. We have a question. Okay, Christy asks, does a client have to have a portal to view listings? I send them via email. No, they don't have to have a portal to view any listings. That would just be a manual email or a subscription email. But what's nice about the portal is once you have it on, the subscription is basically a reminder to log back into the portal. And if they have that cookie in their browser, that'll log them in. So again, the subscription is reactive. They're only responding to something when they receive an email, whereas the portal is proactive. They can log in at any point. So I'm hoping to show you the different emails so you understand what the difference is. This is one of the harder things in the system to understand the difference between the subscription and the portal. So don't worry right now. So let's see, let's get back to what we were doing. So the portal, again, they can log in at any point, but a subscription or search is not required for the portal. What I mean by that is if you were to pull up your phone and pull up your FlexMLS Pro app, you meet someone at say like Walmart or Trader Joe's and you have your realtor name badge on, they come up to you and say, oh, we're in the area for vacation. We love it. We want to buy something here. Now, a lot of people think, okay, I need to be back in my office. I need the full FlexMLS website, or I need to do a search for them. No, it's very simple. You can go into your contacts, invite them to the portal, and I'm going to show you what that email looks like. Once they sign up, they have access to the FlexMLS listings, but the public version, meaning they're going to see your profile photo and all the listings they see up at the top, it's public information. They don't have access to the other realtor. And the one option they have to contact is you. So it literally can take you about a minute to get them set up on the portal. And then you're done. And then so what you can do is say, in a couple of days, I'm going to take a look at what you're doing. And we'll talk about that more in the second hour. Then I'm going to reach out to you. What you're doing is you're allowing them to generate data for you so you have a reason to reach out to them. Now, when I was looking for rentals in Miami Beach, because we were not using the portal, I was using Zillow. I would, text my realtor stuff. Well, when I went down to look at properties, everything she was showing me was $200 to $300 more a month than I wanted to spend. When I worked for FlexMLS, I was on the road 2, sometimes 3 weeks a month around the country training. So she didn't realize how important my price range was because I wasn't home a lot. I didn't need anything fancy. Whereas if your clients are searching inside of FlexMLS in the portal, you actually see what they're clicking on, what they like, what they don't like. So to sum up the 2 reasons to use the portal. Number 1, live up-to-date information, something that Zillow or Redfin or other sites don't have. I've talked to realtors and they said they'll have clients that will find a property they like and then check 5 different websites or apps to see if there's any differences. Well, Flex MLS is the primary source of data. You belong to an MLS. That is the purpose of it. When it goes out to other sites, there's no guarantee that app information is correct. And I know that from personal experience being an MLS director. I would get calls or emails every single day from my members saying, hey, I updated something in Flex MLS. Zillow is incorrect. Can you fix it? So that's the number 1 reason. And then the second reason, again, you can track what they're looking at. Once they start generating data for you, that will give you a reason to reach out to them, or you can help them with their search. And we will be looking at those things in the next 2 hours. Okay, so I'm going to save and add a subscription. And so you'll notice I don't have these checked just because this information now gets tracked in contact management or in the opt-in stats report. And I can decide once a day or ASAP. This is a pretty narrow search, so I'm going to keep it as ASAP. And if you've saved any templates, I covered this in the first class. All you need to do is plug in the name of your client, and I'm going to click on save. So what I've done now is I've done tier 2 and tier 3. I've saved, which is the tier 2, and then tier 3, I sent my client an invitation to the portal. Now you get a pop-up that says search and subscription save. Would you like to email these listings now? The reason it does this is the original 12 results do not go out in a subscription. Subscription is just in the future. But because I invited them to the portal, they will see those listings in that search. So I'm just not going to manual email. You can if you want, but Flex MLS has been evolving over the years. And personally, what I like to do is I don't even do a search and subscription to start. I invite people to the portal, which can take about a minute. After a couple days, I see what they like. So I actually pull up their record in contact management, see what they like. And then what I can do is reach out to them and say, hey, it looks like you're looking between 300 and 350 in Jacksonville. Is that correct? And they say, yeah. Then you say, well, why don't I set up a search and subscription for you? So you get a reminder to let you know that you have new listings, price changes, status changes. So we're actually changing the order. We're doing the portal first, and then we're doing a search and subscription. I'm letting the client do their own searching because they're going to do it anyways. But usually they're doing it on other sites like Zillow or Redfin, that kind of thing. So 1 second, we have a question. Okay, Jordy asks, how can you add them to the portal if you already have them saved? We're going to do that in the second hour. So if you already have a subscription for them, you can just go into their contact record and add the portal. So to add to a portal, there's like 4 or 5 different ways. I'll just focus on the most common ones. We just did one now where we saved a search and subscription, but then we also invited the person to the portal. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pull up those emails, and I just want to verify I have the correct email, GoldieLead88. So I'm going to pull up what those emails look like. So I just generated 2 emails. I generated a subscription email and also a portal invitation. And when I normally teach portal classes in person, I have people role play as the client and as the realtor, and you take turns. For you really to understand how the portal works, I recommend you inviting a friend or family member, let them play around with it, and then take a look at the data that gets generated for you inside contact management. And we will be covering that in the second hour once we've understood what the portal is and what it looks like. Okay, so I have 2 emails I'm looking at. Welcome to your portal and new listing updates from Chewy. The first email, this is a subscription email, new listing updates from Chewy. So we're going to take a look at what this looks like. So let me click on that. So new listing updates from Chewy. We're excited to be helping you with your real estate needs. To get started, please confirm you want to receive new listing updates by clicking the button below. The reason this text is here is subscriptions, if you remember from class last week, are an opt-in process. Your client physically has to click on this button, or they have to click on a manual email to opt in. If they opt in, it's going to be good for 13 months. Tamika, you're asking a mess. Hold on. I'm gonna have to take a look at your question during the break. I'm not quite sure what the answer to that is. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually opt in. So if your client clicks on this, then there you go. That person is opted into the subscription. And then, so that was the subscription email. GoLeader has clicked on that email. He's going to be good for the subscription for 13 months. Now the portal email, I have it say, welcome to your portal. We're actually going to change the text in the intro email. I've updated it. And one thing Heather was talking about earlier, on the chat box, she actually gave you a link to a new portal message. I'll show you how to change it. The portal message has evolved over the years based on functionality. So if you've been using Fleximus for a long time, your message is going to be different than if someone just became a member last week. So this is the most updated message, but it doesn't automatically update your message. So I will show you how you can change that. But the one thing I do change in the message is this text right here. I add this and it says, and the best thing, you get live up-to-date information about listings, something that Zillow and other sites can't provide. I find that this is important to add because it really shows the value of the portal. There's so many ways to search for listings on the internet, you know, IDX sites, Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, like a Coldwell Banker site. But because you are part of the MLS, you have access to the primary source of data. This is, I find, so important to add. You want to let people know why you want to invite them to the portal, and you tell them, you know, are you frustrated finding stuff on other sites, but it's not up to date, especially in a hot market right now. You know, I've seen some places properties are going within a day or two. So it's literally, it's on the market and sold before it might even update on another site. Well, we got another question. Okay, Heather, just on the chat, this is the message. Now I'm going to cut and paste it into the chat message just in case you're having problems with that. But this text, we're going to cut and paste this into our intro email in the portal section once we get there later on in this hour. But again, this is just the most updated text that you can use, because if you've been using Fleximus for a couple of months or even a couple of years, you're not going to have access to this new message. And I'll show you how that works in a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to actually sign up for this portal and we're going to play around with it. The easiest way for you, again, to understand how a portal works is set it up with a friend or family member, or, you know, you could send it to yourself. Just don't send it to your work email. Don't send it to the email that is on your Fleximus account, because the system might get confused. So if you have a different like Gmail or account or whatever. Okay, so we're just going to sign up. So imagine now we are GoLeader, and watch what happens to my screen when I shrink it down. This screen is mobile responsive. So if your client is pulling up their phone, this is what's going to look like. And I'll show you what it looks like on both sides, the small and then the large. Now, you'll notice I'm just typing in 1234 for the password. I find it is really simple just to keep the password as, you know, 1234, so they don't get confused. You don't get a call Saturday morning saying, hey, I don't remember what my portal login is. Now, one thing about this portal process, which makes it so simple, is I've just shown you on the screen, this is what it looks like on mobile. So let's imagine that you're at Walmart and someone comes up to you and says, hey, we're really interested. Can you help us out? So I told you, you don't need a search and subscription for the portal to work. You can just invite them to the portal. So if you do have a couple of minutes, what you can say is, why don't I give you access to the portal? It'll show you, you know, live up-to-date information. And so you invite them to the portal, and you'll notice the email came pretty quickly. So it's usually arrives within about a minute. you know how everyone says you should have like a 30-second elevator speech when you're meeting potential clients? Well, same thing here with the portal. Get a message not locked down that you can explain what the portal is, you know, how they get frustrated using other sites. Give them time for the email to arrive. And then what you can say is, pull up your email right now. I'll walk you through the process. And this literally is how simple it is. They're going to get an email like this. They tap on sign up. They come to a screen here, put in their name and then their password. Say, I'm not a robot. Okay, let's find automobiles. And then click on confirm. And at this point, your client now has access to the portal. It shows you how incredibly fast it is. But the nice thing about walking them through the process is, one, you ensure you get a correct email address from them. Sometimes people say they're interested, but they'll, like, say at an open house, they put down an incorrect email, because you're going to tell them, I'm going to walk you through the process. Pull up your email now. And then you know they've signed up. So once you see the screen, they now have access to the portal. So this is what it looks like on the mobile device. It would be on your phone if we just shrunk it down a little bit. Otherwise, full screen, it's responsive to screen size. So it works either way. So we're going to focus on mobile first, and then we'll come back to the full screen. Okay, so now we are Gold Leader. We're going to play around in the portal. Your job as a realtor is done for, I'd say, a couple days. Let them play around with it. And you tell them, okay, I'm going to let you do some searching. And then in a couple days, I'll reach out to you once I see what you're interested in. Then we will call them up. Then we will create a save search and subscription. So it's no pressure. You're basically getting them on the portal right away. And then they associate the search with you. So what's the first thing that they see when they log into the portal? They see your profile photo. So they're associating their search with you as the realtor. And so you see if there's any more information about like websites or email addresses, messages. Now they can message you back and forth through the portal. I find most people just use text, but it's personal preference. And then they can find an address or an MLS number. But mostly people are just going to start focusing up here. So again, right now we are the client. We are Gold Leader. So Gold Leader is like, well, I wonder how I can search. Really simple. We're just going to go to tap on the magnifying glass and give it a second to load. So we see 10,000 listings because it is showing all property types. Well, they want to narrow this down. So what's the first option? Filter. So the workflow of the portal is pretty intuitive. Most people should be able to figure it out. But if you do have more time with a client, you could always walk them through the process as well. That's why I keep emphasizing, make sure you play around with the portal with a friend or a family member so you understand the process from both sides, either as the client or as the realtor. So it'll be a lot easier to explain. So we're going to tap on filter. And then we could start with the location. So let's do Jacksonville. And then we're going to do, let's see, maybe I could always tap in here and remove some property types if I'm not interested in them. Otherwise, I can look at everything. And then we're going to put in a price. We'll do 250, 300,000. Let's do 2 to 3 baths. So again, this is Gold Leader. This is the client plugging in some information. In 1 second, I'm just going to make a note. I don't see bedrooms here, and that's normally something that is defaulted. So there might have been a change accidentally at the root account. Okay, so we now have view 6 listings. So I'm going to tap on this. This is your client doing their own searching. But what's really cool about this is once they've done the searching, they get some results. They're able to start generating data for you based on how they look at these listings. So now every time your client taps on a listing, that is one viewed listing. But they can also star it if they like something, and they can hit the no sign if they don't like something. So we'll star this one. And again, right now, what's happening, your client is doing their own searching and they are generating data for you. So let's tap on this one. So we're going to take a look at this listing. So 104 Hyannis Court, we see the photos of the property. We can go to left or right. So again, this is on a phone, very simple to use. It could go full screen if you want, inside the context of the app or whatever it is. Keep scrolling down. So description, this would be like your public remarks. And then features, everything about the property. Again, this is public information. They're not going to have access to any private information. But what is the first thing you see up at the top? Contact agent, you, not the other realtor. So that's why it's great to get them on the portal immediately. And part of your, like I say, your minute-long portal message, I would really focus on talking about how other sites like Zillow, they're not the primary source of data. So there's no guarantee that information's up to date. Now, you may be talking to someone who has already felt that frustration looking for properties. And then, it says it's active on Zillow, then they reach out to someone and it's already, pending or sold. That actually helps your case for getting them on the portal. You can say, I know how frustrating that is. So let me show you what I see. Now, again, the public version of what you see, but you really emphasize, you're giving them kind of like a hidden track into the listings in the MLS. You're giving them access to stuff that is not readily available if they're not using Flex MLS. So if we go to contact agent, Chewy is my agent. So I can say, hi, Chewy. I really like this one. So this message will go into Flex MLS, but you will also get an email on your whatever personal email you have inside of Flex MLS, letting you know that your client or your contact has reached out to you. So we'll keep going down, look at some more. So again, public information that is available on this listing, and it's going to show all the public information, whereas other sites, they might not show everything. So this often will have more information than Zillow or Redfin, whatever, because they're mapping these fields to certain things in their system. So again, they might not show all the data, where this is going to be everything that is public information. Right now, just looking at it, I see there's so much good information. Again, something like Zillow might only have half this. It depends on the association, but okay. That's all the public information. Now, down at the bottom, they can hide, save, or share. This share thing is really important. Now, this hiding and saving, this data is going to get it generated for you, and we're going to look at that in contact management in next hour. But sharing, people tend to share listings to husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends. That usually means they're really interested in it. And that in itself, that is going to be a data point we're going to look at in the second hour, because that will tell you they're probably really interested in that property. So if they're doing their own searching on Zillow or other sites, that information is not readily available because you don't have access to their Zillow. Now we're going to click on share. And it'll give you an option to email the listing. Now this is just, this is mobile. I'm kind of emulating the screen, so it's not quite going to work how it would work on your phone, but I just want to make sure you understand how that works. Now they can tap on the map if they want to see where it is located, and you have different options for, like, say, satellite view. So again, this is incredibly simple. We can do driving directions. If we want to do driving directions, that should launch your Google Maps or your if you have an Apple device, whatever map software that is, so they can see where that is located. Now I'm currently in Wisconsin, so that's why it's 20 hours away. Okay, so we're gonna go back. So that is the basic filter. Now you do see a map option here. This will allow you to draw on the map. So if I tap on map, I see, okay, well, these are the 5 properties that have Jacksonville as a city. Now, if I tap on this right here, every time I tap on my phone, it gives me a point, and then I can finish it. And so now it's just going to show me the listings that are in this shape. So this should bring me down to 3 listings. And if we were to tap on this X, we see now we're down to 3 listings. So maybe I'm going to star this one. And I'm going to start this one. And I'm going to hide this one. So this, again, we are the client. We are Goal Leader. We are looking at these properties, doing our own searching. And in back here, this is my contact management. We'll focus on this in the second hour to see that data that gets generated. Now, before I continue, I want to make sure, does everyone understand the purpose of the portal? Is my goal in the first hour. You know, all the things you can do in the portal, you can learn yourself playing around with it, you know, inviting a friend or family member. But I really do want you to understand the purpose of the portal. And let's just sum it up. What is the portal? A portal is a website. Now it can be mobile responsive. And when we talk about the portal message in a little bit, there's also apps for Android and an app for Apple. So they can download an app and use it just like the mobile responsive website. It's not necessary, but it really, again, it's just a website or an app. They log in, they play around with it, they do some searching. So, but it's live, up-to-date information. That really is the highlight. That's the number one reason to use it. And then the number two reason to use it is you can track what they're looking at. Now, you don't need to tell them that, but you're going to see what I mean in the second hour. So if we go back to filter, we could change our search parameters. So now we have a shape. Maybe I want to remove the city of Jacksonville. And if we keep scrolling down, now there's an option to add a filter. And so let's do, okay, bedrooms is not there. So I'm going to reach out to FlexMLS and ask why bedrooms is not there. It's probably because someone made a change at the root account. But if we wanted to do something like, say, a subtype, now where's subtype? There. Huh. Let's try a different one. Do city limits. There we go. So we say in city limits. And now we're down to just one listing. So whatever searching they do. Now, if you pay for FlexMLS's IDX, your client will have the option to save this search. If you don't pay for the IDX, they can't save this search. But so that is why I like to set up the portal first. For the purposes of this class for Goal Leader, it literally took me a minute to invite him to the portal. I told him, do some searching, play around with it, and then I'm going to reach out to you. So he's going to hide some listings. He's going to save some listings. And then when I reach out to them, I say, hey, this is what it looks like you're looking for. Is that correct? And he says, yes. Then I just go back into FlexMLS. I save a search and subscription with his parameters. And then he's going to have a search that is available inside the portal, which we're going to look at right here. So then he can play around with it whenever, you know, that search when he wants to. So I'm going to go to the star. Now you'll notice that there is a search here because I saved the portal with while I was saving the search and subscription at the same time. But again, you don't need a search and subscription for the portal. Your client can log in at any point in the portal, do their own searching. So it's not a requirement. I just always like to combine the search and subscription because that subscription now becomes a reminder to go into the portal. They'll get a subscription email, they'll tap on it, and then it will bring them into the portal. So we see that he's saved 3 lists. Now, this is still Goal Leader looking, but he can take a look at what he's saved. And when he looks at what he saved, he actually has the option to rank it 1 star up to 3 stars. So if you have a client who's pretty tech savvy, you could say, hey, 1 star tells me you're kind of interested. 2 stars tells me you're pretty interested. And 3 stars says this is like your dream home. So we're going to look at chat message real quick. Okay, George says, so search and subscription is the way to get it to update automatically for the client. If you want your client to be always aware of new listings, price changes, status changes, yes, that is correct. Otherwise, you would physically have to do a search every single day for that client and email them listings. So if you know a client wants between 250 to 300,000 in Jacksonville, set up a search and subscription so they will be notified of the new listings, the price changes, the status changes. The portal just really brings it up a notch. They don't have to wait for an email. They can log in at any point, which like they would do on another site like Zillow, Redfin, whatever. And then the portal is proactive. But the benefit of the portal, again, live up-to-date information, which you're just not going to get on those other sites. And the portal is branded to you. Once you set your client up with that portal, they're going to see everything through the context of what you're sending them. They're going to see your profile photo. They're going to be able to contact you. Okay, so those are the listings that have been saved. Anything that's been hidden. Now you'll notice there's a recommended section. When we're doing contact management, I'll talk about that in the second hour. Basically what you can do is you can recommend listings. And how I look at it is, okay, Goal Leader is looking between 250 and 350,000. Let's say something on the hot sheet comes up for 353. Well, his search parameters are up to 350. He's not going to see something that's 353,000, but I happen to know like it's a steal on that, whatever street it is. And so I might say, every once in a while, I may recommend a listing to you. It's not quite exactly what you're looking for, but I think it would be a good fit. So that is what recommended does. And then hidden by agent, they can hide their own listings, but you can also hide them for them. And we'll do that in the second hour when we're doing contact management. It's separated because a lot of times people, if listings are hidden by their agent, they actually want to see what those listings are. Now, the bell is a news feed. The bell is a news feed. And so if you set up a subscription, any new listings are going to show up here in the news feed. And so it's going to be like Twitter where the newest tweets are up at the top. So it's going to tell you if it's a price change, if it's a status change, what it is, and it's going to show up at the top. And then they can always my profile or log out. So this is what the screen looks on a mobile device. And a lot of times your clients will be pulling stuff up on a mobile size screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a full size screen, just go through the process again really quickly, just to show you it utilizes more of the screen space. Then we go, so this is the home. If we go to search, this time we don't have to toggle to the map. The map is always going to be visible on the right side. And you'll notice that there's be bubbles. Now we can go to filter again. So again, we have 10,000. Same thing like we did before, but if they were on a large tablet or they're working on their computer, down to 64 listings. And so because it's a large screen, you actually have two listings side by side. So we can star, we can hide, or actually tap on a listing. We want to pull it up. So it's the same thing we saw before. The first thing we notice is the contact agent. And we see a map on the right side. So this is all the public information. Now that same ability to draw on the map is here as well. It's always visible to you. So that is that map shape. So if I tap on this, and every time I tap or click, it gives me a point, and then I can finish my shape. So now we go from 63 down to 28. And so this is your client doing their own searching. We go to the save section. Similar to what we saw before, just spread it out. And they can always pull up that, they can do their own searching, but if they want to pull up your specific search that you saved for them, they can tap on this. And so we see 10 results. Now, the reason we see 10 is because we've hidden a couple. I believe we started with 12. But if your client hides them, then when next time you load it, it'll actually show just 9. Pull up a listing, whatever we want to do. Okay, so that is the Fleximalist portal. I just want to make sure, like I said before, that you understand intuitively what the purpose of the portal is. You're not really going to become a master at it until you played around with it. Normally when I teach I'll teach a 2-hour portal class in person. We're obviously not doing that right now, but where, again, realtors will take turns role playing as the client and as the realtor, working on their, minute-long message, and then showing how to generate data and also what this data looks like. So find someone, friend or family member, and then invite them to the portal. And in the second hour, I'll show you what this data looks like. So it really will start to sink in. So I'm just going to close this down. And before we finish up this hour, we're going to go up to the quick launch bar. and I'm going to type in the word portal. Now, if you remember from FlexiMOS 101, you can type menu items up into the quick launch. So we're going to type in portal and go to portal preferences. I'm just going to check a couple things on portal preferences to make sure that things are set up correctly. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, if you go to the intro, you can actually watch a message that'll tell you all about the portal. Now, before I go any further, I want to make sure, if you don't see this screen, that means you're not using the new portal. And so you've probably been a user of FlexiMOS for years. If you, let me give me a second, let me just switch. If you see this screen, this means you're using the old portal. Now, the old portal doesn't allow your client to do their own searching. It's 15, 20-year-old functionality. So some people still like using the old portal, but if you try the new FlexiMOS portal, you're going to see this screen. And so intro, this is like a nice, like 2-3 minute message that'll tell you all about the portal. I'm just going to skip over that. But when you're playing around with the portal, I would recommend watching this because it's a nice summation of the purpose of the portal. Now, the few things that we're going to change or make sure that are set up correctly. Portal basics. 1, make sure this is on. This is like a Mr. Coffee maker. You make sure it's green, it's turned on. Your portal is turned on. And then this is your URL. You're going to want to write down this URL, because what you can do is, I recommend keeping a tablet in your car. If now with COVID, people are probably not traveling together, but before COVID, like I work out of my car with my tablet and I'll use my phone as a mobile hotspot. And so if you bookmark this URL on a browser on your tablet, if you're with the client and you're driving in between different locations, you could hand them the tablet, have this bookmarked URL, and then they can log into their portal on your tablet. So it's a larger screen. And then you can teach them how to use the portal while you're with them. Once you become an expert at the portal, it's really simple. Again, the star saves listings, the no sign hides them, but you can teach them how the portal works while they're with you. I know there can be a lot of transplants from other places, and so they may just be in town for the weekend. So if you can get them hooked on that portal while they're there, that really can save you some time in the future. So you just want to make sure your URL, know what your URL is. You can write that down, but also you want to make sure that your portal is enabled, it's turned on. Now, the next thing I like to do is go to my listings, and yours by default is turned on. I usually turn off the my listings section, because if you have it turned on, when they log into the portal, they can see your listings. But let's imagine that you normally do some high-end properties, $400,000, $500,000 or higher. And you have got a referral, a friend of a friend kind of thing, and you're helping them buy a property for $200,000. Well, every time they walk in the portal, they see these high-end properties, and they're like, well, why are you showing me properties that I can't afford? So I personally like to turn this off. I don't find that it is valuable, especially if you're going to be dealing with people with very different price ranges. Now, intro email. This is the key thing. When you go here, this message is going to say like a portal for your information, which doesn't really make any sense to me. So I update it to say, welcome to your portal. And you can put whatever message you want. And then this message right here, the thing that I posted in the chat, or which Heather added a link to, this is the message that we're going to update. Now, the key thing, and let me pull up the actual text. The key thing is you can't just cut and paste it here. Watch what I do. Watch very carefully. We're going to go to view. You might want to write this down if you're taking notes. View, source code. So again, view, source code. We can't just cut and paste it because it actually uses some HTML. So we're going to go to view, source code, and I'll just delete this out. And if I get that text, I'm just going to cut and paste it, or copy it, and I'm going to paste it into this message. So then now it updates. Now, the reason I showed you how to do this is because your message, depending on how long you've been using FlexiMOS, may not have these links. And I also added this to the message, like I said at the beginning of the class. And the best thing, you get live up-to-date information about listings, something that Zillow and other sites can't provide. So I want to make sure that they get a nice message when I invite them to the portal. And remember, portal does not require a search and subscription. If you just meet someone, you're at Trader Joe's, they come up to you because you got your realtor name badge and you want to invite them to the portal, it is really simple. So just to show you, so this m.flexmls.com is basically the same thing as a mobile. If we were to go to contacts, add a contact, and I'll just do a real quick one. We'll just say there's a pink leader. So you meet someone, you add them as a contact, and then you send them an invite. Just show you, it is incredibly fast. You can do it less than a minute to invite them to the portal. So the search and subscription is not required for, I do recommend combining them though, because once they have access to the portal, the subscription is basically a reminder to go back into the system to look at those listings. And the rest of the stuff, I don't mess around with the other settings. I mean, you can if you want. You can decide what status is, or what they see. If you don't want them to see if there's open houses, I personally find all these settings that are currently there are pretty helpful. The key thing here, though, is I want to make sure my message makes a lot of sense. It has a lot of good information. I want to make sure that if I don't want them seeing my listings because there's a difference in prices, I turn that off. But most importantly, we want to make sure that the portal is enabled. It's turned on. Yours might be turned off for some reason. So I'm just going to click on save. And now I've updated my portal preferences. So again, we went to portal preferences just to make sure that everything is set up correctly. So if I start using the portal a lot, I want to make sure it makes sense to my client. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break and then we will start up again at 11 o'clock. So I'm just going to mute myself and pet the dogs. Okay, so in the first hour, we covered how to use the FlexMLS portal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on contact management. And the reason I always do the portal first is I like to generate data that we can now use in contact management. Now there's a couple different ways to pull up contact management. If you've never made a change to these up here, by default, you have 5 options. Contact management is going to be one of them, but you'll know that I always like to use the quick launch. So if you just start typing in contact, you can tap on contact management. So this will bring you into contact management. If you ever need to return back to your default dashboard, you can just click on the FlexMLS button. And remember from the first class, I always talk about watch your mouse behavior and read your hover text. Now, I just want to point out there is a contacts gadget that is your home on your home dashboard. And so what we did in the first class is we went up to the 3 dots, went to settings, and decided what columns we want to see on the contact management gadget. And so I can show some information right here, which is just a shortcut into the functionality. Otherwise, I can always click on contacts and this will bring me into contact management as well. So this, I like to utilize the space here, decide what I want to see, what is most important. Whereas when you go into contact management, and let me just clear that out, it'll show you all of your contacts. So in this next hour, we're going to be doing a handful of things. We're going to be adding contacts. We're going to be customizing the columns here. We're going to be talking about how to send the portal to everyone. And most importantly, though, is we're going to look at that data that gets generated when people start using the portal. Now, last night when I was prepping, I set up an account for Red Leader. And you'll notice that it says activity last 7 days. this bar is really, really blue. And then when you log in, you may notice someone's really blue and then someone's kind of blue and someone's barely blue. So what this does is FlexMLS a couple years ago made a change to sort contact management based on who is the most active. Now, some of you who have been in the business for a long time, you may have hundreds of contacts. And so the reason it's sorted on activity is it's showing who is currently active in their home search or land search or whatever it is that they're doing. So it's kind of letting you know, okay, if you have some downtime, who should you focus on? You should focus on the people who are the most active. And so for the context of this, let's say I met Red Leader a couple of days ago at Walmart, and we'll use the same example from the first hour. He came up to me and says, oh, I love it here. We want to buy something. Now, I didn't have a lot of time, so I invited him to the portal. I walked them through the process, and then I said, hey, in a couple of days, I'm going to reach out to you and we'll go from there. So if it's been a couple of days, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to pull up his contact record. And so the first thing that I notice is right here. He is pending. His subscription is pending. Now, if you remember from the first class, I'll just review it real quickly, and I'll pull this up into a new tab so I don't lose what I'm working on, but there's an opt-in status report. Now, when you set people up with a subscription, we saw what that email looks like, but your client physically has to click on that blue button that says, yes, please send me listings. Well, we see that, and I'll go back to the first tab, Red Leader is still pending. He has not clicked on that subscription email. And if I go into the pending opt-in section, I told you you should make a reminder on your phone once a week, say Thursday morning or Friday afternoon, to check this report. We see that, okay, I set him up 4 days ago, but he still is pending. So this means he's not receiving any subscription emails until he clicks on that subscription email button. So when I go into contact record, I always make sure I check this to see if someone is pending. I can send it again, the opt-in request, or I could just call him up or text him, whatever I want to do. But what I'm really focusing on now is these two sections, the activity section and the portal section. This is going to show me the data that he generates for me. So I'm going to go into the activity section. And so on this screen, let me just close this down and just refresh it. We see this is the activity for the last 7 days, and it's sorted like that. But if you actually tap or click on a member or a client record and you go into activity, it'll show you for the last 30 days. So if you want to count back days, you could actually see there might be a pattern. They're always searching Monday and Tuesday nights or whatever that is. But the data that is so important is what I'm going to show you right here. Okay. We see that he has viewed 10 listings, but when you go into this doesn't mean actually 10 individual listings. This means 10 clicks. So when I tap on this or click on this, what is the first thing that should just jump out to you right away? Well, the property on 1210 Pine Valley Road in Jacksonville, he has clicked or tapped on that 8 times. And so what's really cool about this is the data that they generate for you, and this is your reason to reach out to them. So you say, in a couple of days, I'm going to reach out to you. You have a reason now. You see this property. You see he's probably really interested in it because he's tapped on it a bunch. You call him up and says, hey, it looks like you're interested in that property on Pine Valley Road. Do you want me to schedule a showing so we could take a look at it? And he's like, yeah. This is why you use the portal, because if they are using Zillow, Redfin, other sites, you don't know what they're looking at, what they like, what they don't like. But when they do it inside the FlexMLS portal, this data gets generated for you. So this is one reason to reach out to them. So you write down this listing. And he's looked at a few others, but he's only tapped on them once, so maybe not interested. Now, if we scroll down a bit more, we see, okay, shared listings. Remember I told you in the first hour, when your client's looking at a listing, they can hide it, they can save it, or they can share it. People tend to share listings with husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, that kind of thing. And so if we tap on the shared listing, we see, okay, Actually, he only viewed this one once, but he did share it with someone. Now, this might be sharing it for someone else who's looking for properties, or maybe this was something that this person really liked. But you now have 2 listings you can write down and say, bring them up in conversation when you reach out to say, either by text or phone, say, it looks like you're interested in these properties. Is that correct? Do you want me to schedule some showings? So for the purposes of what I'm showing you on the screen, let's imagine again, we're dealing with Red Leader. I met him at Walmart. I invited him to the portal. I walked him through that process. It literally took a minute or two. That's all the work I've done so far. Then I waited a couple days. I pulled up his contact record and I saw what he was looking at. And so now I have an in. I have a reason to reach out to them. You're just not cold calling him and saying, hey, you know, how's it going? You actually are reaching out with some specific examples of properties that he probably wants to see in person. So this activity section is incredibly important. Now, the other section that is important is the portal section. Now, when I go to the portal section, this is where you're going to track what they've saved, what they've hidden, or what you've hidden, and you can actually see last active. So you can receive an email every time your client logs in the portal, but you really don't need to because you have this right here. It actually shows you the last time they logged in. So I logged in last night at 8 to prep for this class. And you can, if they're doing any searches, you can actually see, if they're making their own searches, you can actually see the most recent search that they've done. So, okay, so he was doing his own searching. We have 107 results. And then also view search parameters. So it looks like he was just searching for Jacksonville. He wasn't very specific. But if they're doing their own searching, you're going to be able to track that information as well. So, but we save saved, hidden. Now, what's cool about this is before you reach out, what you might want to do is look at the listings he's saved. Now, remember I told you the portal does not require a search and subscription to work. So what you can do is you can take a look at what they've saved and what they've hidden, get an idea of what your client is interested in, and then reach out and say, hey, do you want me to save a search and subscription for you? And so, well, the first thing that jumps out to me is he's clearly looking around about 300,000 to 350 in the city of Jacksonville. So I can go from there, like 290. Do you want me to set up a search like between 290 and 350, or, you know, what are the number of bedrooms and bathrooms you're looking for? So we see 3 full baths. Click on this one, 3 full baths, 3 full baths. So this can give you a, again, reason to reach out. Have an idea of what kind of search parameters are that they're looking at, then reach out and say, hey, is this kind of what you're looking for? Then you can save a search and a subscription. Now, I'm going to go back into the contact record. There is currently a search and subscription just because this is from a previous class. So I'm just going to remove this. But what you would normally see is if you've met someone, you invited them to the portal and you didn't save a search subscription, what you're doing is you're going into activity, seeing what they like, what they're clicking on, they've shared. You go into the portal, you take a look at the listings they're hiding or saving. A lot of times the hidden listings can give you more information than the saved listings. Sometimes people can't really verbalize what they like or what they don't like. But if you've noticed, they've hidden a bunch of listings and there's a lot of similar like styles or, you know, similar colors. You can use that data for when you reach out to the client and go from there. So this is that everything that's hidden. So saved, hidden. So what you can do now though is this contact record, if we want to save a search and subscription for this contact. So I've decided, okay, it looks like he's interested in between about 290 and we'll say 340. And he wants 3 baths. And then I reach out to him. He says he also wants 3 bedrooms. So it's very simple. We're in his contact record. Go to searches and subscriptions. Instead of going through the quick search, I can actually add a search from here. So I'm going to click on add under the searches section. And we're going to create a new quick search. So I have a bunch of other searches, but I want this one specifically for him. So we're going to create a new quick search. And so I'll just plug in that stuff that I discussed with them. So we're going to do 290 to 340. We said, was it 3 total baths? He wanted 3 to 4 bedrooms. And he wanted to be in Jacksonville. Okay, we're down to 5 results. So if I want to save this for him, so it's now available to him, he can access it in the portal, but he'll also get a search and subscription. Very simple. We just go up to save. And you'll notice he already there is selected as the contact. That's one way it's kind of cool to do this. So we'll just do red leader. 290 to 340K Jacksonville. Save and add subscription. Again, he's already there. And maybe we'll do ASAP this time. I'll find whatever template I want and then just plug in his name. Click on save. So to sum up what we just did, we've really focused on just doing the portal by itself when we initially meet someone. So this could be at Trader Joe's, Walmart, or what this could be is this could be at, let's say you're working in an open house and you have your laptop with you. It's on the kitchen counter and someone comes up to you and says, yeah, we're not really interested in this house, but we want to take a look at what's going on in the area. And, you know, they're in a hurry or you're in a hurry. You don't have a time to sit down and focus on what all their search parameters are. So it's the same process. You invite them to the portal. And if you have time, walk them through the process. Again, it's only going to take a couple of minutes. Then you let them go nuts with the searching. And then you reach out to them after a couple days and then go from there. Now, if you want to invite somebody to the portal and you have the full app, or sorry, the full desktop site, up here is how you do it. Now, watch carefully what I'm going to do. If you don't see this blue banner, this section, just go to advanced, and there's a section that says show hide quick add. So I'm going to remove that. So if you see this, just come back to advanced and go to show hide quick add. But this, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go. This is probably the easiest way to invite someone to the portal. And this, what's really great about this is if, you know, like you're getting, people are coming to open houses, just plug them in and add them to the portal right away. So once you get those email addresses, just plug this in and then you get access, give them access to the portal. But again, branded to you. All their searching is going to be in the context of you. So let's see, who haven't I used? I haven't done Han Solo in a while. So you get someone's name and their email address, you check the box for portal and click add. This is the fastest way to get someone on the portal, you know, 15, 20 seconds, depending how quickly you type. And so this creates a contact record. And we see now we have a contact record and then a portal email invitation has gone out. So we see right here, that is there. Okay, I'm just 1 second, I'm taking a note. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm just gonna go through the process real quickly again with Gold Leader. This is the one that we did in the first hour. Just to summarize, we understand what the portal data is. We go into the record. We check to see if this person's confirmed on a subscription email. We see he's confirmed, so he's good there. The next thing we do is we go to activity. The reason we go to activity, now this just shows for the previous day. So you're not going to see if someone's really active until the next day. But if you met someone at Walmart and then later that day you notice that they're actually starting to play around with it, you may take a look quickly. So if we go into viewed listings, these are all the listings we viewed in the first hour. And it literally takes a couple of minutes for this data to start showing up in FlexMLS. Anything that's done in the portal on the full site, they flow back and forth very, very quickly. Okay, this is a listing that he's shared. So both of these look like it's it's the same listing, but this is very important to him, or he's tapping on it. We go into the portal section. These are the 4 that we saved in the first hour. Being Gold Leader as the client, these are the 4 that we've hidden. And so just to show you how fast it is. I always prep the night before so I have data to show you on this screen. But again, we just did this last hour, and that data all now is already there for us to play around with it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to add a client. Now, I added a client really quickly, or a contact, just by putting these 3 boxes and checking the box. But if you actually want to put it in all the information for client, it's very simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap on or click on add contact right here. And it's going to give us a pop-up. So I'm going to put in, okay. So who are we going to do now? Okay, I haven't done C3PO for a while. So just C3PO protocol droid. Now, you'll see that there are 2 different name boxes. This is a display name technically, and this is first, middle, last. Now, the reason you may want to use first, middle, last is there is an option for you to sort names on last first if you want to do that. So we'll just do C3PO protocol droid. And so first, middle, last. Now you'll notice that there is an additional contact. So what you can do is if you want to have spouses on the same contact record, you can do so. And so we'll do, I'm just going to make something up, R4, F3, protocol droid. So this is C3PO's wife. They're part of an organization, you can type that in, but we're just going to put in an email address. So C3PO droid 123, plug in an email address. Now you'll notice that there is an add button right here. This add button allows you to see, it says add another email address to this contact. So if C3PO wants emails, but his wife also wants emails, click on add. And so we'll plug in her information, R4, F3, droid. And you'll notice that it has a notify box. Read your hover text. A lot of times it'll tell you exactly what it is. It says send subscription notifications to this address. So again, if you have a search and subscription set up and they both want to receive that subscription, just check the box to notify. And you could do more emails, but I find most people don't do more than just the 2 emails. Now, we have a bunch of options to put in different phone numbers. You're going to want to put something in the primary, just so when you're using the that mobile apps, you can actually text them from FlexMLS, their contact record. So that's a good thing to put in the primary. If you want to put in their address as well, you can do that. Now, I know a lot of people use their own CRM software, so it's just really personal preference on how this works and how much information you want to put into the record. Now, for next thing down, it says reverse prospecting and the boxed is checked. This is by default, but this is an actual setting, and I'm just going to show you really quick if you want to change that setting. If I type in the word general, you'll remember we did this in the 101 class. I'm going to open this up into a new tab. I'm looking for general preferences. I don't want to lose what I'm currently working on, so I'm opening this up into a new tab. And it should be down at the bottom. Where is it? Okay. Second one from the bottom, contact management. Default for enable reverse prospecting checkbox on add contact, no or yes. It's set for yes, so that's always checked. I can switch it to no if I'd like, personal preference. So what is reverse prospecting? Well, I'll explain it, but I don't have time to cover in class. So I do want to point out there's a help section in the upper right corner. And if you go to video training right here, again, help, video training. And if you type in reverse, there's a nice video on it that FlexMLS has created, but it's 15 minutes long. That's why I don't cover it in class, because a lot of people will never use it. So I don't find it's that important. But if you want to figure out how it works, watch this entire video. I also can't demonstrate it because I don't have an actual listing. This is a test account. So what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna explain what it is. So reverse prospecting, when this box is checked, What you're basically saying is that C3PO is available to be reverse prospect. So what that means is if C3PO has a saved search, when you run reverse prospecting, what another realtor can do is, let's say they have this parcel of land or they have a house and they're just not getting any interest. And so what you can do is you can reverse prospect. You can run reverse prospecting on a parcel or on a house that you have. And what it does is it searches all the other realtors in the system that have a client who has a search, and that's those search parameters match that property. So what another realtor can do is they can reach out to you, not your client. They reach out to you and say, hey, you have a client who might be interested in this property. So that's what it is. Hold on one second. I got to plug in my computer. Sorry for the noise. Okay, let me just make sure that this is plugged in correctly. Okay, so what it does is another realtor can reach out to you and say, hey, I have a property that I think would fit your client's needs. You are able to match the contact to find out which contact that is, but at no point does the other realtor have access to your client. It's just a way to, again, some boards use it all the time. Other boards don't use it very often, but it's something that you would use sparingly. Like, again, you have some land or you have a house, you're just not getting the interest that you think it deserves. So you run reverse prospecting and try to find out, and you might, match with 20 or 40 other realtors that all have clients with the search where your property would match those search parameters. So you get to type up a message and then send it out to them. So if you're interested in doing that, again, go up to help, video training, plug in reverse, and then watch the reverse prospecting video. But again, I can't show you because I don't have an actual listing, but also it really comes down to the board whether or not it's something that people use. Some places they use it all the time, other places they just don't bother. So that box is checked by default if you have it set up in general preferences. Now there's a section called right here, it says no additional info. Well, you can click on add. And if you go to anniversary, you can put assistant, pets, whatever you want to do. He has a dog. Okay, one second, we have a question. Okay, Jordy asks, so where does it pop up if there is a reverse prospect? Do they send? Okay, so if you were to, I can't really show it to you, but I'll just open it up into a new tab. So if you have a listing, it has it. All your listings will show here. You check the box, you run reverse prospecting, and the next screen it'll show you all the other realtors that have clients that where your listing would match their parameters. Again, you don't have access to their client, but if you run that, it gives you a box to email all of them. So an email gets sent, and then once that email gets sent, you're going to receive an email that says, hey, I have this listing. It would match whatever your client's looking for. I would recommend watching the video. Again, I'd love to be able to demonstrate it, just not possible because I don't have a test listing in your board. Now, create a portal account for this contact. This is like the third way you can invite someone to the portal is if you check the box, you can create a portal contact or account for this contact. So when you're adding a contact, you can do this all at once. I really do like doing it this way. So I meet someone, I plug them into contact management, I invite them to the portal right away. Again, why is that so important? You don't need that search and subscription, but the moment they get that email, they sign up and then they're associating their search with you because they see your profile photo. They can't contact the other agents. They can only, contact this agent, meaning you. So take advantage of this functionality that is provided to you, because that's that live up-to-date information that other apps or other sites just don't have access to. Now, the final thing I want to point out on this screen is the groups. Now, by default, you have no groups. So what you can do is you can edit the group list. And I already have a bunch of groups because I've taught this class before. So I'll actually just remove a couple of them. But what's cool is you can add groups, and then you can sort your clients based on the type of group. So I'm going to say repeat business. And they will do like referral. And so you can add them to have groups. And then if you go to add, you can add people to multiple groups if you'd like. But let's just do this one is going to be referral. And so let me just clarify what the purpose of groups. Groups just lets you organize your contacts. Now you see right here, we have all, but we could narrow it down. If you have hundreds and hundreds of contacts, it makes a lot of sense to sort them this way, or whenever you add a new contact, put them in a specific group so it's easier to find. But this doesn't mean you can just email everyone in a group. That would be really cool functionality, but that people will use it to spam. And if you remember from the first class, I talked about the opt-in status. The reason FlexMOS is required to do an opt-in process is because people abuse the system. FlexMOS sends out millions of messages every day. And so if people are allowed to just spam everyone they know, those emails get stuck in spam traps, and it makes it harder for FlexMOS to email delivery correctly at like 99+%. So again, you can sort people by groups. You just cannot email an entire group like that through this functionality. So if I'm happy with all these additions for the contact record, I'm going to click on Add Contact. So I've added the contact. Now, when I add a contact, it's going to give me access to all these different tabs. And so there's a couple different things I can do. You'll notice it says send confirmation email. You can send a subscription confirmation email to them and they can opt in, but I don't do it right now because we actually haven't set up a search subscription yet. You can opt them in beforehand, but I just don't find that's necessary. So we're just going to go through the different tabs. Now we have activity. We've already seen this activity, and this would be once your client starts playing around in the portal, you see what, certain days are blue, any listings they viewed or shared. Another section here is the email activity. If you are sending them manual emails or subscriptions, you can actually see how many are sent and how often they're clicking. So you may, do manual emails, subscriptions, portals, but then after a couple of weeks, you come here and say, well, are they actually looking at any of those emails? And you may find, okay, they're looking at subscription emails, but they're not looking at any of my manual emails. So I'm just going to stop sending those manual emails. Okay, we'll scroll up to the top. Searches and subscriptions. This is blank, but I'll do it one more time. If you wanted to add a search and subscription from contact management, you can do it from Quick Search. But if you wanted to do it from here, it's very simple. Just go to add. And create a new quick search. And I'm just going to do this really fast. We go up to save. And whenever you add a search from the contact record, you'll notice that the name is always there. So type in some basic information just so we can get this completed. And return back to contact management. So now C3PO has a search and subscription, and you'll see that's pending because it has not clicked on it yet. Now we go into portal. I showed you this before. The thing I always check here though is sometimes if you're wondering if the portal's working, it's on or off. Just make sure it's turned on. Now, a lot of times what people will do is they will turn the portal to off when a client has purchased something. And I usually talk about this in the 101 class, but I may not, depends on time. But I do not recommend turning the portal off after a client has purchased something, because you're giving them access to information through you. You want them to always associate you with the search. So what will happen, and I've talked to a lot of realtors about this, is people will their clients will purchase a property from them, but they'll notice that they're logging in the portal sometimes every couple of months just to see what's going on in their neighborhood. And what's great about that, and we showed on the portal when we logged in, the first thing they see is your profile photo. I always mention this in class. Studies have shown that 80% of realtors will recommend 80% of clients will recommend a realtor to friend or family members, but something like only 20% remember their name. So don't cut off their access to the portal. Let them log in. It doesn't prevent you from doing anything, so keep that on. And then the other thing that's important is after they've purchased from you, go into their record, go into searches and subscriptions. Don't delete the subscription. Don't delete the search. And a lot of people think, oh, I have to remove it because they purchased from me. No, just go into the subscription, switch it to monthly, and just say, this is what is going on in your neighborhood. Let me know if you have any friends or family members, or whatever you want to do, friends or family members that are looking for properties. And you can mention that, just a couple sentences, you're going to get a monthly email letting you know what's going on. So it's only once a month. You're not spamming them, but people do like to know what's going on in their neighborhood, especially to see what's happening with prices. And what this does is this requires no work from you. You just type up this message or you update the message, but you're having FlexMLS send them a monthly email, which is going to remind them who you are, and then more likely to refer you to, again, a friend or family member. 1 second, we have a question. Tamika, I'll have to answer your question during the, you're gonna have to talk to FlexMLS support about that. I don't know how that works, just because that functionality has evolved. So you'd want to reach out to FlexMLS support and see how they're handling it. I just don't have access to that information anymore. So I'm going to just click on save. So we didn't remove the search or remove the subscription. I kept the search there. I just updated the subscription so it's once a month. And so then they get to see what's going on in their neighborhood. I think it's a really great thing. So again, change it to once a month for the portal. Don't turn it off. There's really no reason to. Now, messages. Now, these are messages that go back and forth between you and your client. Now, you could write a message. This also, they can message you in the portal, and I'll actually, let me pull up someone who would have that. I believe Gold Leader sent Chewy a message while we were in the first hour. Yeah, there we go. So this was the message. It was a specific message. So it's based on, usually based on an actual property. So if we pull this up, we actually see it says, hi, Chewy, I really like this one. Now, this information is going to get tracked inside of the contact management, but you also should receive an email when that happens. But I find a lot of people, they usually use texting when they're talking to clients. But we see, okay, those were the message would be. Now, notes. There's a section you can, for notes, you can type notes about your contact. This is going to be stuff that only you have access to, but just stuff like, okay, they have 3 dogs and really want a big yard. So just kind of stuff that you learn while you're with them or when you're talking to them, and you want to keep this in some sort of central location. You can always plug that plug that information here. So this is specific on the contact. Whereas listing notes, these are different. So if I go to listing notes, nothing's there. So for me to utilize listing notes, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm going to do. We're going to be in a search. So I'll just do a quick search. And there's some functionality you may not have been aware of that's right in front of you. And it's called right here. It's work on behalf of. So if you click on work on behalf of, what you can do is you can work on behalf of a specific person. So let's do C3PO because that's who we've been working with. And watch what happens to the left side of the screen when I'm working on behalf. Now we see his name here, but we see it looks more kind of like what the portal would look like. So if we go into some actual listings, let's pull up some Jacksonville listings. And let's do, say, 4 bedrooms. So we go to the list tab. When I'm working on behalf of a contact, I can do some things. So I can save listings for them. I can hide listings for them, but you'll notice there's a separate section between hidden and hidden by agent. So they can hide their own listings, but also you can hide them for them. Now, remember I talked about recommended. So let's say there's a certain property, say he's looking between 150 and 200,000. Well, this shows up in a search, or I could do the same functionality in a hot sheet. I see something for 205. Well, his search is not going to send him this listing because it's $5,000 over his price range. But if you happen to know on this street, this is just like a steal. This is a great property. And you tell them, you know, maybe once a week or so, I'm going to recommend a property that I think you would be interested in. Just click on this. Again, hover text. Watch your mouse behavior. So important in this system because when it changes to an index finger, you can do something with it. So it says recommended contacts. So now we have a recommended section. But also the listing notes right here. So listing notes, if you want to make a note about a specific listing, see listing notes for the MLS number. He really didn't like this one because there was no fence in the yard. So what's great about this is if you're keeping track of properties, you can always make a note to it. But another thing you can do is let's check some boxes. Let's imagine that these 3, we did open houses. We scheduled some showings. Well, if you select some listings and you go to save, there's now an option that says save selected as. Look what happens when I uncheck these boxes. When I go to save, I don't see anything that says save selected as. So there's kind of like hidden functionality in FlexiMLS. If you have things selected, you can go save selected as, and it gives you the option to save to My Listing Collections. I'm actually just going to save it to C3PO, to his contact record. And he will be able to pull up this collection in his portal. So we'll just say open houses. What's great about this is if you want to keep track of all the properties you're going to with him for open houses, and say, you know, you've now been to 15 or 20, he's really picky. Well, how do you keep track of those properties? Just work on behalf of, make sure you're saving a collection for him. And then he's going to have, watch this as updates. Now he has an open houses section, and this will show all the properties that he's gone to. Now, so that's working on behalf. So if I click here and then stop working on behalf, you'll notice that the screen changes. But if I want to, let's do another search. If I want to do some things for him, like saving listings, hiding listings, or adding notes, again, we're just going to do a search, go to work on behalf of, put in the name of your contact. When we do that, we'll notice the left side of the screen changes. So we see save, recommended, hidden by agent, and then those 3 open houses. So if I want to go back into his contact record, just go back into contact management. And I'll go back to that listing notes section. So we made that note, and now we see it right here. This is specific to that listing. And I could click on this listing if I'd like. To open up into a new tab. So if I want to see, okay, which listing was that? There you go. So we see we have two separate tabs. We're not losing the work that we're doing. And then the link section, I believe this is more to do with IDX. I don't actually see anyone ever using this. There's options like remove contacts or transfer them. If someone retires and you want to transfer their contacts to another person in the office, that's how that works. Deactivate, this basically like just turns off the subscription. I don't see people doing this anymore, but also, like I said before, don't remove the subscription. Don't remove it. Go into it, change it to monthly, update the text that says, hey, I'm just letting you know what's going on in your neighborhood. If you have any friends or family members that are looking to purchase, take advantage of the functionality that is there to remind your client who purchased from you who you are, so they remember you, so they're more likely to use you in the future. And the same thing that goes for the portal section. Don't turn off the portal for them. Let them have access to the portal, and even tell them, I'm going to keep the portal on for you so you can play around and see what's going on. Because some people, especially like the people who love HGTV, they're really involved in the home search even after they purchased, and they want to know what's going on in the neighborhood. Okay, so that's how you add a basic contact record and the different sections. We're going to point out a few other things before we take a break. Now, if I go up to advanced, you'll notice that there's something that says create portal accounts with invite. Now, I currently have, okay, everyone has the portal on. So I'm just going to go into a couple records and turn the portal off. But let's imagine we have a new person who doesn't have the portal. And so if you look in your contact records and notice a bunch of people don't have portals, what you can do is you can invite them in mass to the portal. And so they will also, you might have like 15 or 20 people. You can send out, the system will send out 15 emails to each of them, inviting them to the portal. I would not do that though until you're really comfortable with the portal and you know how it works. So you've updated the message so it makes sense. If they have questions on how the portal works when they reach out to you, you're able to answer them. But it is a cool option. Once you've seen the value of the portal, you know how it works, you can go up to advanced and then create portal accounts with invite. And then click on OK. And what it's going to do is it's going to fire off emails to Han and to Luke Skywalker. And then if I were to refresh this screen, click on contact management again, I would see, okay, everyone now has the portal. So that is a cool thing. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about, we're going to go in advanced, is we're going to actually customize the contact list. The reason we're doing that is you'll notice there's a lot of white space here on my screen. There are other columns that I can add to the screen that will help me when dealing with my clients. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to advanced and go to customize contact list. And so I looked through this list. Now, before I add anything, I do want to point out, remember we talked about the display name? That was like that first box when we're adding a contact. Read your hover text. I cannot emphasize this enough. Whenever you're in the system, just hover over stuff and it will often tell you exactly what it is, but it's not always apparent when you first look at it. So it says change names to first, last, or last first. If I want to do last first, I can do that, but that would require me having added all the contacts in, and I purposely used those three boxes, the first name, the middle name, and the last name. Otherwise, the display name works. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some columns so I utilize that white space a little more. So I'm going to see all the listings I recommended to client, everything that they've saved, everything that they've hidden, maybe everything I've hidden. I can see when they're last active. And okay, the date created. This one is not by default, but I always add the date created. If you have contacts that have been in FlexiMList for years and you want to actually get rid of some of them, you can always add the date created so you can see that. So I've added, 4 or 5 different things. These are going to be different columns. I'm going to click on save. And so what we see is we see a lot more information that's utilized here. And I'm going to remove the hidden by agent just so this will all fit onto one screen. So just give me 1 second. So I come here and I'm just going to click on the X to hidden by agent. Okay, so this now all fits on one screen and it utilizes the screen much more efficiently. Now, so we see that there are some listings. This person does have a subscription. Wedge has 52 listings. But what's really cool about this is, okay, I can see when the contacts are created, but I can also see everything that I've recommended, everything they've saved, and everything they've hidden. So what's really cool about this is I can log into FlexiMList, go into contact management. I haven't even looked at Red Leader. Let's say I just added him a couple days ago. I already see that he's saved and he's hidden some stuff and that he was active yesterday. So I can go into his contact record and see that, but I don't even have to do that before I realize, okay, this is someone who is using the system. I should probably reach out to him. So that's why I like to update contact management with these extra columns, because it can just really show you how active people are, show you some great information, especially last active. Okay, so what did we do in this hour? We focused on contact management, which we go to by clicking on contact management. We know that it's sorted by the people who are the most active. So if you don't have a lot of time, focus on the people who are currently using the system. If you want to get more data about a contact, just tap on them or click on them and it'll bring up their record. Some of the highlights are the activity, because you get to see what they're actually clicking on in the portal. The portal, you see what they've saved, what they've hidden. If you need to add a search and subscription after the fact, you can always go to search and subscription. But this also is important. If they purchase from you, edit the subscription to be monthly. Don't remove it. And you can see any notes or messages. We also talked about how if you go into advanced, you can create portal accounts with invite for everyone where the portal says off. But do not do that until you understand how the portal works, because then you might just end up creating a lot more work for you. And then our advanced customized contact list. If we want to add these extra columns, so we utilize the space a little more, that's another thing to do. One other thing you can do is that it's kind of convoluted, but if you click on a record, click on closed, you hold on shift, and you click on another one, it'll select all of them in between. So if you sorted on date created, you want to delete some old contacts, you can actually remove all those contacts all at once. So I removed 5 of them at the same time. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we will start up again at 12 o'clock your time. Okay, so now what are we going to talk about? We are going to be doing some customizations. Now, just to sum up, the first hour we talked about the portal, and I walked you through that process. If you still have any questions, please type them in the chat panel. Then we went into contact management and showed you how you can add contacts, do some customizations, that kind of thing. And then the final hour, we're going to be doing some customizations when you're actually inside of a search. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on quick search. And I want to point out a couple things that we're going to customize. So the first thing that we're going to customize is we're going to switch to the list view right here. And when I switch to the list view, pay attention to what is on the right side of my screen. So I see that there are all these columns. What we're going to do is we're going to customize the columns that are available right here. And before we do that, I just kind of want to explain how this works. You have right here this drop down. It says 1-residential, and there's an asterisk. If I change this, you'll notice that there's other options. If I change it to say land, you'll see different columns that are available on the screen. So when you went live with FlexMLS, you were provided different views based on different property types. But what we can do with that is we can use them as like a template and then create our own views. We can decide what columns we want to see with what kind of data. Now, there's two ways to look at the view. Again, watch your mouse behavior, watch your hover text, because I would not be aware that, okay, this is a normal view. Then I click on this. This tells me there's a one line. So if I want to see it this way, it gives me an option to do it one line. And I'm going to switch back to residential. So really what this allows you to do is decide when you're doing a search, what information do you want to see at first glance? And so what we're going to do is we're going to click on view and we're going to customize all the things that are here. So it's a process I'll go through twice, but don't worry, this is being recorded. It may make more sense just to watch how it works. And then if you don't remember, watch the recording later on when you want to attempt this yourself. So I'm going to click on view. Give it a second to load, and then we're going to get a pop-up. So it says create view from one-residential. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name to something else. I'm going to call it like, say, my residential view. So this is going to be my own custom view. It's going to show me the columns or the data that is most important to me. And then report description, there's an I right here. Oh, let's just hover over it. It says report description appears on the list of results in the printed and email reports. You can keep this blank or put in information. If you just want to say residential listings, whatever you want to do. Now it gives you the option to show a photo. I always like to see the photo. And it also gives you the option to make this a default for my listings, my office listings, or address and MLS number searches. So if you're specifically doing a certain type of view that's not really meant for like clients, but it's something you want to see when, for example, I'm going to start typing in my listings. If I want to open this up into a new tab, remember, I don't like to lose the work that I'm doing. So I open things up into a new tab. I don't have any listings, so this is not going to show much, but you might want to pull up your listings and then really focus on certain information on the list screen right here. You can create your own custom. So yeah, there's no columns here because there is no data, but it does give you that option. Oh, 1 second. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the field section. So you jump from tab to tab to put in this information. I'm going to go to the field section, and this is where the majority of our tweaking is going to happen. So pay close attention to this. We're actually going to do 4 different things on this field screen. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove the fields and see the hover text. We're going to remove the fields that we're not interested in. So for this view, I'm going to remove listing member because I can always see that in the detail report. Status change date. And I'm going to remove listing office. So I've removed the fields that I'm not interested on that screen. So that's number 1. We're removing fields by clicking on the X. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the labels. So this number of bedrooms, let's think of this like as an Excel spreadsheet. Now this label, number of bedrooms, or the header, that takes up an awful lot of space because bedrooms is going to be 1, maybe 2 characters in length. I mean, if you have like 10 bedrooms, but that is an inefficient use of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this by clicking on it. And I can just say number beds, or even just call it beds, but it's only taking up 4 or 5 as before it was like taking up 10 characters. So I'm going to click on done. Same thing for Baz, taking up a lot of space. Watch my mouse behavior, gives me the index finger so I know I can do something with it. I click on it, it changes so I can go into the text box, and we're just going to change this one to could just say TBAS. Click on done, or you can even make it small if you'd like. Square footed, it's again a lot of space. Square footage shouldn't be more than 4 characters. So I might just change this one to heated square feet. Year built, that's pretty good. Subdivision's good. Delayed marketing date, that takes a lot of space. So again, click on that. I just might call this delayed marketing date. However, whatever abbreviation makes sense to me. Okay, so what have we done so far? Well, we clicked on the X to remove the fields we're not interested in. Then if there are labels for the fields that take up too much space, because we want to fit everything onto one screen, we don't want to have to scroll left and right, bring down those labels. Now, the third thing we're going to do here is we are going to add fields we are interested in. So first thing you do is go to available fields, make sure you're in the correct property type. So I am working from a residential, but if I were doing land, I want to make sure that I'm on the correct property type because different fields are available for different property types. You're going to have land fields that just make no sense on a residential property type when you're entering a listing in, or say multifamily. So make sure you have the correct property type. And then let's see, we're just going to start adding some stuff. So let's see, what am I missing on the right side? Well, I want to do cumulative days on market. Or, if you can also type it in. So if I started typing cumulative days on market, I would find it. Now you'll notice if it's grayed out, that means it's already on the right side. And so if we don't do a search, we will see this is grayed out. So this is already over where the property type is not. So I'm going to click on property type. Okay, so then if we scroll down, let's see, what else do we want? City limits. So if you know exactly what you're looking for, just start typing in. I'm going to add over lot acres as well. Okay, so let's go over to the right side. What did we add? We added cumulative days on market. We added property type, city limits, and lot acres. Now, the cumulative days on market, this is one of those things that's taking up too much space. So I'm going to click on it and just change this to CDOM. And I decided I don't really need the delayed marketing date, so I'm just going to remove that one. And so everything else looks like it's a good use of my space. So I'm happy with this screen. And don't worry, we're going to go through this process again for a land property type. Now, this is some functionality that a lot of people don't realize is here, but is really cool, is this sort option. So I'm going to click on sort. And we have column order and we have custom sort. Now, column order, what this means is normally on that screen, and I'm going to right click this and open this up, new tab. I'll show you what I mean. Give that a second to load. When you're looking at listings on the list tab, your default sort will be, let me pull up the list. You can click on the, you can click on any of the columns and then it will sort on that specific information. So if I wanted to sort on price, I click on price, gives me the option to do ascending or descending. It does that. And obviously there's 5,000 listings right now, so that's why it's taking so long. Or if I wanted, so we're sorting on price, if I wanted to sort on subdivision, but it will only allow you to sort one at a time. So that is a column sort. So you click on something, it sorts on that. Well, what if you want to sort on multiple things at the same time? That is the purpose of a custom sort. And so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to click on custom sort. And it says select a save sort or create a new sort. If you click inside here and you notice that there's other sorts, that's because I've done this in three previous classes. So I'm just going to create a new one. And we'll just call this one new residential sort. So I tend to call things, my residential view, my residential sort. So I know exactly what it is. And then I just make sure I'm in the correct property type. So we're doing residential, so that's fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first sort on price. So do the listing price. And so we see that listing price is over here. Then I'm gonna sort on subdivision. And then I'm gonna sort on cumulative days on market. So you could do 3, 4, 5, however it is you want to sort. But what's really cool about this sort is, especially we talked about on the general tab right here, you can use them for like my listings or my office listings. A lot of times when I'm at brokerages and I'm training, I'll show them how to do this. And so they'll have cork boards up with, every realtor's, all their active listings, like they'll update it every week, they'll print it off. But they'll use the actual sort and to sort it on certain criteria. So it's when you look at those sheets of paper, it's easier to find that information, like what subdivisions they're working in, that kind of thing. So that's a really cool option. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on save. And this is going to create a new view. And what did we call it? We called it my residential view. So when I click on save, it has my residential view. And let me plug in a couple of search parameters just so it'll be easier to see how the sorting works. Let's just do. Okay, then now I'm going to switch to the list tab. We got a smaller number, so it'll be easier to look at. So what do we see? Well, we see all the fields that I decided to add. And I had it first sort on price. And if there's the same price, then I asked it to sort on subdivision. And then if these were the same subdivisions, then it would sort on days on market. So I actually have 3 different things to sort on. Let's see if we can find something. So it's the 99.99. Okay, then, or maybe I did subdivision first. I don't remember. But anyways, so that's how that custom sort works. So we're going to do this one more time for land. And let me go to quick search. Just start up our screen again. We'll go to their list. Actually, we'll switch to land. And then we'll go to the list tab. So now when I'm looking at land, I realize, okay, so there is some information on the list tab, but I want to remove some things and I want to add some things. So same thing like we did before, we're going to go to view. So we're going to add this view and it says create view from 2- land. So we're going to give it a name. So we'll just say new land view or whatever it is I want to call it. It's land listings. And if I wanted to have it a default for any of this information, I could check the box. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the fields tab. And if you remember from the first time we went through this, we did 4 different things. And the 4 things we did was, number 1, we removed information we weren't interested in. So I'm going to remove the listing member. And then what we did is we clicked on the label. If the label is taking up too much space relative to the data that is inside that column, it makes sense to make it smaller. Now, all of these, this data is probably going to be the same or wider than the actual label. Now, lot acres might be the only example not, so I might want to just change this one to acres. So first thing we did is we removed what we're not interested in. Then we clicked on the label if the label is taking up too much space. Then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding over fields if we want to see them. So I can either start typing in the information, like days on market. Let's see, what else do I want to? Oh, I noticed one thing. I forgot to check to make sure that this is land. Now, cumulative days on market should be the same field across property types, but you do want to make sure that if you're doing things for like commercial or something, you may not find fields because you're looking in the wrong property type. So I'm going to switch this to land. Now, what we're going to do is cumulative days on market. I'm going to do zoning. And maybe we'll see, what do we have for lot fields? Do we have a lot dimensions? Okay, I'm going to do dimensions. Okay, so I go over to the right side and I scroll down and I'm looking for those 3 new fields that I've added, and I want to make some tweaks. Like, again, this is taking up too much space, so I'm going to click on it. Change it to where it says CDOM. Undone. Zoning's fine. Lot dimensions, that's taking up a lot of space, so maybe I just want to change this one to dimensions. Click on done. And then the 4th thing, I forgot to do that the first time around, but the 4th thing is you can change the order of these. Now watch my mouse. Remember, I keep emphasizing your mouse behavior. Your arrow is your default, but if it switches to the 4 directionals, it's letting you know that you can actually change the order of these. So you just hold your left mouse button down and you can change the order of the different fields. And I'm actually going to remove county. And maybe I decide I actually want to add in, we'll do marketing city instead of county. And I'm going to move that one up to the top. Get my 4 directionals, hold my left mouse button, and move that up to the top. Okay, so 4 things that we did here. Clicked on the X to remove the fields we're not interested in. Clicked on the label if we want to make the label smaller or change it in some way so it better fits the data that's in that column. 3rd thing we did is on the left side, we first make sure that we're in the correct property type. Otherwise, we might not find the field that we're looking for. Then we can either just scroll down and add it, click on it to add it over, or we can type in the name of it to add it over. If it's grayed out, it means that it's already on the right side. And then the 4th thing we did is if we need to change the order of any fields, hover over a field on the right side, hold down your left mouse button, and then you can change it that way. Then we're going to do our final thing is we're going to go to the sort. The sort is this thing that a lot of people, again, have no idea it's an option, but it's really cool because your default is a column header sort, which you can just click on one thing. But if you want to sort on multiple things, what we did before is we did price, subdivision, and days on market. This time, let's go to sort. We're going to go to our custom sort right here. I'll create a new one. And I'm just going to call this new land sort or my land sort, whatever it is you want to call it. Make sure I'm on available fields for land, so that's correct. So let's do marketing city first. Then I'm going to do subdivision. And then maybe I want to do lot acres. What is the acres field here? Okay, so the lot acres looks like it's just a residential. We'll do lot dimensions. We're going to do lot square footage. However you want to do it. Click on save. And so we now have a new land view. So let's narrow this down to, let's do Jacksonville. Their number is more reasonable. We're down to 125. If I go to the list tab, okay, so what do we see? We did the sorting on Jacksonville, so that's all Jacksonville, but then we do subdivisions. And then if it has the same subdivision, it's going to sort it by the acreage. So say 46, 46, 46, and then 0.6. Now, watch what I do on the screen. This is some new functionality that a lot of people may have missed, but these columns, if you go up to the top, and you'll notice it changes from an arrow to suddenly it looks like 2 opposite arrows and 2 lines. You can actually click on that and make this larger or smaller. And so it should hold that setting for the next time you come in. So if your lot dimensions is taking up a lot of space and you want to change that, or address, whatever it is you want to do. And you can always do a 1-line view or a normal view. So if I do a normal view, I realize there's a lot more information, a lot more columns that I could put here if I'd like. So it's just personal preference. But that is how you create custom views. Now, if you wanted to, like, say, print off something using a view, it's very simple. Just go up to print. And instead of doing detail, we have all the results. Let's go to list and decide what view that you want. And so I'm looking at land, so I want to make sure I'm using my new land view. And I want to preview it. So there we go. I can print this off with whatever view that I want. And so, like I said before, a lot of brokerages, once they learn how to do this, they'll print off their listings and update them once a week. And so every different person, I see this more in the boutique brokerages, they'll actually print this off and everyone will have their cork board so you can see who has what. And so it's a really cool option. So the reason I like to do a view first is because if you create a view and then you go to create your own quick search template, that view is available. And so you can kind of marry them together. So what do I mean by a quick search template? Well, I'm going to click on quick search right here. And you'll notice that it did land again because that is the most recent template that I used. And if I click on this down arrow or chevron, I'll notice I see residential, land, multifamily, residential long-term rental, boat slips, fractional timeshare, commercial sale or lease, multi-property, and a few others. Public property search and report generation. Now, what this means is if I do a residential template and I click on this, on the left side, you're going to see a bunch of fields. Now, when you went live with FlexMLS years ago, the board decided what fields were the most common in use. And so they put them on the left side of the screen. And if you go down to add a field to the search, you can click inside this box. And let's say you want to add appliances equipment. So look what happens. I add appliances and equipment. And let's see, I'm going to add zoning as well. So let's imagine that I'm going to do a search and I find I use appliances and equipment and zoning a lot. Well, when I do another quick search, look what happens to appliances and zoning. If I scroll down, they disappear because the 1-residential is your default template. You can't make any changes to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to decide we want our own custom template. We're going to remove the fields we're not interested in. We're going to add fields we are interested in, and then we're going to save it so we can use it in the future. So I'm just going to start looking at these fields. Let's see. Okay. I don't want listing selling member. I'm going to click on that. I don't want listing selling office. Location type, I never worked islands, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, so I removed some fields that I'm not interested in, but fields that I'm always searching on, I want them to always be available on the left side. So we'll go back into that, add a field to the search. And okay, so I'm always searching on zoning. So I'm going to add that. And then I'm always searching on appliances. So I'm going to add the entire group over. Now I could add over individual options, but it makes more sense to do the entire group. And again, read your hover text. We hover over, it says, click to add all fields in this group. So I'm going to add that. Let's see, what else is missing now? Okay, so I don't see a days on market, so I like to search on that. So I'm going to do cumulative days on market. And let's see, I'm just going to click inside this again. Let's see, is there anything else that I really need to add? No, you can type in what you're looking for if you know the name, but something may be named what you're not expecting. So it may make more sense to just start scrolling through and decide, okay, what is something that I always want to see on the left side? Maybe construction type. And I also want to see, let's go, what else we're going to do? Or maybe let's see, what do they have for schools? Okay, so there is a school district field. So I'm going to click on school district. And there we go. Okay, so what have I done? I have added zoning. I've added appliances and equipment. I've added Keno days on market, construction type, and school district. So what I want to do is, because if I click on quick search, it's going to redo that 1-residential and all of these will go away. So if you just need to add something one time, that's fine, and then save a search, then it will stick there. But if you want it to always permanently be there in your template, we're going to have to do something else. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up to save. And when I click on save, I'm not saving a search. Let me clarify the difference between a search and a quick search template. A search is the data that is inside these fields that's either selected or filled out, like 250 to 300, that kind of thing. A template is the fields that are visible when you first start it. So a quick search template, a new one, we've decided we wanted to add these 5 new fields, and we removed the 3 fields that we're not interested in. So again, search versus the template. I'm always adding these fields. I'm tired of having to look for them. I want them to be there every time I go into that template. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to save quick search template right here. And I'm just going to call this one. Okay. Before I do that, let me actually point out something. Let's click on this. Notice how we see 1-residential, 2-land. These are the reason there's a number in front is it makes them alphanumeric. So it ensures the residential is the first one, because alphabetically it's not, R does not come before L. So that's why there's the number there. So what you can do is when you save the quick search templates, you can use that alphanumeric functionality. And I could have it say 0.5. So it's actually above the 1-residential. You can't delete the default templates. But what you can do is create your own. So we're going to do 0.5 MyRes search. And if you notice the view, this is the reason that we created our own view first, is because I want to have my custom view, which is the list tab, always available for my custom search template. So that's why I did the My Residential view first. We do My Res search, and I'm going to click on save. So now I have my own quick search template. So if I switch to My Res search, what do we see? Those 5 fields that we added are always there, and it removed those like listing member, whatever, removed all those fields, and this is always there. And then when I go to the list tab, what do I see? I see My Residential view. So it has now all the columns that I'm interested in. So I've created my own template, and this is going to be one of how many I want, and this is always going to be available. If I were to do something else, it should remember the last res search or whatever template you did. If I go into a quick search now, there you go. My res search has the fields that I am interested in using. And if I go to the list tab, because when I saved it, I specifically chose the My Residential view that is married to that. Hold on, we have a question. Okay, Arena asked, please explain the 0.5 again. These are sorted alphanumerically. So it actually does numbers first. I do the 0.5 just so it's on top of the residential. It's personal preference. I mean, you could do 1.5, but if I were just to type in My Res search and no number, it's going to put it all the way down at the bottom. So I always put a number first just so it's easier for me to find. That's why. Okay, so we're going to do this one more time. and we're gonna do it for land. So we'll just click on quick search just to refresh it. Now, so we see my res search. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch to the land one right here. And when I switch to land, what do I notice? Well, the fields are gonna change. I look at this list of fields and realize, okay, I don't actually use all this stuff, but there's stuff that I do use. So, okay, so what do I want to remove? Well, I'll remove listing selling member, listing selling office, and everything else looks good, but I want to add a few more things like zoning. And also maybe flood zone. And then if I know what I'm looking for, I just start typing it in. Otherwise, I can just click inside this box, take a look at, okay, buildings on property, that's important. And what else? We'll do a couple more. Current use. And we'll do fencing. So these are things that I find that I'm always searching for. So I want them to be available every time I use this template. So again, we removed the fields we're not interested in, added the fields we are. Oh, and one other one I also like to add, just so people are aware if they weren't in the 101 class, you can always add association. So when you do the search, you can specify a specific association for that search. Okay, so I'm happy with the data and all the stuff on the left side. So we're now going to go up to save. Save quick search template right here. And so again, alphanumerically. So the land was 2. I might do 2.5 this time, just so it's up towards the top. My land search. Make sure, okay, I don't want to do the 2-land. I can if I want, but remember, we created our own custom view called new land view. So on the list tab, it has the columns that I want to see. I'm going to click on save. And so it's been saved. So what I can do is I can switch to that now. 2.5 my land search. So what are we seeing on the left side? Well, the fields removed we do not want. The fields that we do want, that we always want to be available. Then when we switch to the list tab, we purposely created the view first. So when we save that template, we can select it, and then we have the new land view with the new columns that I want to see. And if I ever wanted to, like, oh, I got a lot of space here. If I want to tweak this new land one, real simple. Just click on view. And it already brings me into my fields because I've already created this. So I'm just editing this. Let's add auction or something. So I've added a new one. Click on save. And then now there we got auction. I could probably fit one more too if I want to do that. So pay close attention to this explanation. If I'm creating new templates, I do it right from here. But one thing you can't do on the screen is you can't change the order of these. So if you really want to change the order, there's other functionality. And if you start typing in my quick for my quick searches, okay, we want to do, okay, we'll do the 0.5. I'll do the my res search, click on edit. And I just skip over this. This has already been set. So I just click on next. On this screen will allow me to change the order. So if I want to move things up or down, or I decide I want to remove something, I don't use it, I can remove it. But when you see a group like this, you actually click on the first one, hold down shift, click on the last one, and then you move all of them all at once. So that's if you want to move your appliances all the way up. But again, move up, move down, or remove, click on save. And if I go back and do a quick search again, we'll make sure we go to the 0.5 my res search. And so appliances now have been moved way up, and status was moved up to the top, and so was county. So just personal preference. So just to sum up, if you're just adding one, just find one, use it as a template, and then go to save the quick search template. But if you want to change the order of the fields, you can't do it on this screen. You just go up into my quick searches. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do, and we're probably going to end short just because there's been almost no questions the last 2 hours, is we're going to focus on custom hot sheets. Now I'm clicking on FlexMLS to return back to my default dashboard. Now in the FlexMLS 101 class last week, we talked about custom hot sheets. And so what we did is, let me actually clear this out just so you can see what I did before. Your default hot sheet gadget is just going to say hot sheet. And we have 24, 48, 72. And if I want to customize it to, like, say 1 or 2 cities, I can go to the 3 dots, go to settings, and say we'll type in Jacksonville. And if you're curious about this, there should be a recording somewhere that the board has. I talk about the dashboard for the entire first hour of last week's class. So this is the hot sheet gadget for just the city of Jacksonville. And if we go back into the settings, you'll see you have quite a few options for customization. You have county, city, and you can do multiple cities if you'd like. Say if I want to do Rocky Mount. Now I know Rocky Mount's nowhere near close. You have zip code, subdivision, location type, and property type. So you have a lot of options. Now there's a couple different things you can't do on this gadget. One, you can't go back more than a week or a specific time frame other than these. The other thing you can't do is if you need to be more specific with, like, say, a map shape, then you're going to have to do a custom hot sheet. So usually what I do is I just click on the hot sheet right here. And you'll see the 24-hour hot sheet, and pay close attention. A lot of people don't even know that this is here because they never scroll down. If I scroll down, there's a different section that says custom hot sheet. And so it says generate a customized hot sheet based on specific search criteria you have selected. Now, how the custom hot sheet works is you're going to go into the custom hot sheet settings first, the first time you run it. And for a custom hot sheet, a couple things jump out to you. Well, one, you can decide if you want to have just certain status changes or price changes. If you just want new listing, price change, but not the rest. That's one thing to pay attention to. But the most important thing is up at the top, a start date and end date. If you have not run this, these aren't filled out, but you can go back up to 45 days. So let's say you were on vacation for 2 weeks, and well, the hot sheet only goes back 1 week. So maybe you want to go start date, we'll go back to the 6th. So we're going back 2 weeks. And then there's 2 ways to run it. You have a quick search, which is very similar to what you saw on the gadget, you know, county, city, zip code, subdivision, location type, in addition to a price range. But what I really like is the save search one, because you can run a hot sheet with any search parameters. Now, before I do this, we're going to actually save a search really quickly. So we're going to pull up a quick search, and I'm going to save a quick search specifically for a certain location. Now, it's not going to be a city or a subdivision. I'm actually going to draw a map shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. Here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a map shape. I'm going to use my freeform polygon right here. And I'm going to draw it. And we're going to encompass what's really going to be multiple cities. Now, I could use multiple cities instead, but let's say, for example, I wanted to do everything that is south of 24. Now, Bogue, I don't live there, so Bogue might be on both sides. But if I just wanted something specific that's south of 24, that's not a search parameter. That's like a subdivision or a city. So if you draw map shapes, you can be as specific as possible. And whenever I've drawn a map shape, I always like to click on it and give it a name. So I'm gonna click on it, click on edit. If you're curious about what I'm doing and you missed the 101 class, I would recommend doing that. So I'll just say Emerald Isle to Aquarium. Whatever, is something that makes sense to me. Save it to a map overlay. And it is, we'll call it in My Neighborhoods. But for the purposes of a custom hot sheet, when we save this search, we want to remove status, because the hot sheet, what it does is it looks at all your statuses. So if we just limit this to active and pending with showings, we're not going to see closed listings. We're not going to see back on market, or, you know, all these different things. So this custom hot sheet is just for hot sheet. So I'm unchecking the status, and don't worry about the numbers. That's fine. And I'm going to save this. We'll save this search. You have a second to load. Come on. There we go. Okay. So remember, I uncheck status. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say Emerald Isle to Aquarium hot sheet. Now, the reason I give this a certain name, search name, a hot sheet, because when I look at the search, I know automatically I've unchecked status. I'm not doing a contact. I'm not adding a subscription. This is specifically just for a custom hot sheet. So I'm going to click on save. Oh, looks like some might be going with Fleximalist. We'll see if this works. We're going to go hot sheet. Remember, scroll down because you may miss this. Go into custom hot sheet settings. And I'll do what I did before. We're going to go back about 2 weeks. And this time I'm going to do that Emerald Isle to Aquarium hot sheet. So what this is going to do is it's going to show me everything in the last 2 weeks in that map shape. And I'm going to run the save search hot sheet. Now, when you, oh, I need to do history events. 1 second. And then we'll do it. And so what's cool about the custom hot sheet is, okay, so this is going to run it for the last 2 weeks because I gave it that initial time frame. And if I click on over here, I see all those different options. Now, if you go to do a custom hot sheet again, it's not like the 24-hour, 48, 72-hour. The custom hot sheet now has a timestamp, and look what's on my screen. It says show activity since 12:43 p.m. Eastern. That was 1 minute ago. So if I run this again, it'll show me just everything in the last minute. So what can be really cool about custom hot sheets is, okay, you live in Jacksonville, or for those of you from other boards watching, but let's say you really only work a couple subdivisions or a couple, you want to draw a map shape. You're just really doing waterfront properties. Create a custom hot sheet. And then every time you do the custom hot sheet, it only runs it since the last time you ran it. So if you find you're, running hot sheets every 3-4 hours because the market is so hot right now, well, if you do the 24-hour, you're going to see repeats every single time. Whereas in this custom hot sheet, if I run this, it's going to only show me everything since the last time I ran it. And if you need to make any tweaks, just go back into your custom hot sheet settings. And you can always switch to a different search. But remember, the key thing is you're going to unselect the status. Then we have Emerald Isle to Aquarium. So I'm going to just do this one more time. We'll go to quick search. We'll zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to draw a shape right here. And when I'm done, I'm going to stop moving my mouse. Once I've drawn a shape, I click on it. We click edit. And I'm just going to call this one, again, I apologize. I don't remember if it's Beaufort or Beaufort because I've taught it both places and I get them mixed up. South of 70, because like Beaufort or Beaufort includes both sides, but I specifically am just focusing on this area. We'll save to a map overlay. Let's see, which overlay do I have? I have we'll do the My Neighborhoods. And so I'm going to save this. So I like to always save the shapes that I use, but I'm going to remove the status because this is specifically for a hot sheet, a custom hot sheet search. So I'm going to remove the status. Don't worry about the number getting really high. We're going to go up to save search. And then so we're going to call this search view south of 70 hot sheet. So that search always tells me that I know, okay, no status was selected. I'm not setting up a subscription for this. I'm not adding this to a contact. This is just specifically for a hot sheet. So again, no contact, no subscription, just click on save. The key thing for custom hot sheets searches though is you just always uncheck the status. Otherwise you will limit your results because active and pending don't cover closed, expired, that kind of thing. Click on save. And then I just go into the hot sheet again. Give it a second to load. Remember, a lot of people don't realize this custom hot sheet is an option. If you need, so it says 12:43 p.m. If I run this custom hot sheet, this uses the last shape or search I did, which was the Emerald Isle to Aquarium. But if I wanted to do the Beaufort south of 70, go in the custom hot sheet settings, and you'll see the last one you ran. It actually is highlighted now. And this is bold telling you ran this side, not this side. If I wanted to switch it to Beaufort south of 70, and I want to give it, so it'll run since the last time you ran it. If you need to add different dates, do it and run it. So that is the custom hot sheet. And so what we did is we drew some map shapes because you have a lot of good options in the 24, the 48, the 72, subdivisions. But if you wanted, map shapes instead, which we even covered, we did waterfront stuff, we can do that. But you don't even have to use map shapes. You could use any, because you're saving a search. You could use whatever search parameters you want and then save that. But the key thing is when you do that, when you're saving that search for the custom hot sheet, make sure you always uncheck status. Okay, I am out of time. So we have done our 3-hour Fleximus 201 class. The 301 class will be at 10 o'clock again in a week on Wednesday. In the 301 class, we will be covering CMAs. So we're going to do the full CMA, the quick CMA, the statistical CMA. Then we're going to be doing some stats reports. And so that will be 3 hours. And so I hope everyone learned something. Don't worry, this is being recorded. I know I throw a lot of information at you, but the system is so powerful that I want you to be aware of all the things that you can do. Do we have any final questions before I log off?
Thanks everybody for being here today. We really appreciate it. And
Okay,
thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, have a wonderful day.